Small businesses in Minnesota will now have access to more funding. We'll share details of the funding initiative from Governor Tim Walz and the Department of Employment and Economic Development.
Plus, it's been less than 1 month since Florida felt the devastation of Hurricane Ian. I'm KIMT News 3's Samantha Soto, live with how the Salvation Army in Rochester has helped those impacted by Hurricane Ian.
And it's no secret the warm weather has returned, with even warmer temps in the works for the weekend. But with the warmth comes a threat. I'll tell you the latest on the severe weather potential I'm tracking.
The News 3 First at 4 starts right now.
KIMT News 3, coverage you can count on. This is KIMT News 3's First at 4.
Good afternoon and happy Friday. Thank you for joining us for KIMT News 3 First at 4. I'm Jessica Bringy. First this afternoon, after a summer of focused on economic expansion following the COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Tim Walz is announcing funding to help small businesses in Minnesota. Today, the governor was joined by the Department of Employment and Economic Development Commissioner Steve Grove at a coffee shop in St. Paul to make the announcement. $97 million in federal funding has been approved through the State Small Business Credit Initiative for Minnesota. The state will be receiving 3 installments of nearly $30 million of that funding over the next several years. Grove says at this time in Minnesota, there are 4 jobs open for every worker, so it's a tough place for business owners to be.
Productivity suffers for it when you don't have enough workers. So we're continuing to really sprint on this. And as we look ahead to the coming year and the chance to look at our budget surplus and how we strategize about, the ways that state government can play a role here.
One way the government is playing a role is under this new initiative. DEED is launching its first program of 6 to benefit new businesses. The Minnesota Loan Guarantee Program is now providing funding through approved lenders or other external financial institutions. A webinar with DEED is being held on October 26. You can find a link to that information and more on KIMT.com. The Salvation Army has spent the last month serving disaster victims in both Florida and Puerto Rico in the wake of this year's back-to-back hurricanes. KIMT News 3's Samantha Soto is speaking with one Rochester Salvation Army counselor who's back in Rochester after helping with Hurricane Ian relief efforts. Sam?
Yeah, Jess, Counselor Jessica Bradford started her deployment in the Fort Myers area, providing emotional and spiritual support, telling me she made many connections during her 14 days there. Just take a look. Of the more than 200 Salvation Army volunteers sent to help with disaster efforts from all over the state, Bradford was the only one from Minnesota. She spent her time serving meals, aiding in cleaning efforts, and just being a shoulder to lean on. She shared some of her experiences with me and says the biggest takeaway is people are still struggling with life, fighting cancer, addiction, and other illnesses.
But it was just seeing the amount of homes just in shambles. When you're pulling up to them, people don't want to leave their homes because of the looting. Even though they might not have had a roof on their home, there was a family living in a beautiful home, sleeping in a tent in their garage, just trying to protect their belongings.
Bradford encourages anyone still struggling to talk to someone, continue to help each other out, and don't be afraid to ask for support. Live here in Rochester, Samantha Soto, KIMT News 3.
Thank you, Samantha. So far, the Salvation Army has sent 40 mobile units and distributed more than 450,000 meals to those impacted by the hurricane. All right, we're checking in with Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sarah Knox. Sarah, another really nice day, nicer than I could have even hoped for.
Yeah, guess what? We're going to be nicer even as we head into the weekend. So there are plenty of great days on the way for sure before, of course, the inevitable cold returns. But we don't need to talk about that right now. Right now, we're going to talk about the yellow colors, the oranges that we are seeing returning to the map. It is 69 degrees right now in Rochester. Some of us even making it to the 70s. Austin, Albert Lee, right at the 70-degree mark. Look at Mason City, 72. 73 in Charles City. If I step out of the way here, La Crosse making it to 75 degrees. It's clear to see where it's a little warmer versus the cooler temperatures further north you go. But the point is we are all well above the normal now, where earlier this week we were well below the norm. So it's nice to see those temperatures ticking upwards, especially for those of us who are just not quite ready for that familiar chill. Of course, it is coming, just not tonight. Satellite and radar here showing a few clouds beginning to make their way in, trying to block out the sunshine as much as possible, but you can see the majority of us here just south of I-90 still enjoying plenty more of the sun than the thin clouds that are heading in. Partly cloudy skies to mostly clear as we head into the rest of the evening. But let me tell you, the weekend is here. Temperatures will continue to climb. Winds will be picking up. It'll get breezy. And yes, I'm still tracking that potential for severe weather. We'll talk about all of this in the next few minutes. So for now, it's back to Jess.
Rochester firefighters are mourning the death of a beloved colleague. Retired fire captain Chuck Solseth died following a battle with cancer. He joined the department in 1997 and retired last year after his diagnosis. Solseth also taught courses for Riverland Community College's fire program and even served in the U.S. Navy. Happening now, the Mayo Civic Center is hosting a COVID-19 bivalent booster vaccine site today and Saturday for free. No appointment is necessary if you're 12 years or older. However, kids ages 5 through 11 are only allowed to get the vaccine if a parent or guardian makes an appointment. The site just opened at noon and will be open until 7 today and from 11 to 6 on Saturday. A Dodge County man is being held on a $250,000 bond for 13 felony charges related to child pornography. Joseph Carlson was arrested yesterday in connection to 2 recent incidents in Dodge Center, one of which is from September when he was accused of trying to meet up with a 14-year-old boy. In August, Carlson was the subject of a search warrant for possessing child pornography. Still to come, the spooky season is upon us, and if you're looking for a fright, an area farm is preparing to get you in the holiday spirit or become one. We're giving you a preview into this haunted attraction. Plus, the midterm election is just around the corner. If you're relying on information from social media to keep you up to date, a new study is sharing how those platforms may be misinforming you. Plus,
consumers are ready to go big on Halloween again. I'm Michael George with this year's hot costumes and how inflation is affecting prices.